Welcome back to the Between Meetings and Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Alexa Starks. I'm the editor-in-chief of Mothered Magazine. And today I have with me the amazing founders of Milkwise, Alex and Ian. Welcome to the podcast. I am beyond excited to talk with you guys today.
Thanks for having us.
We're excited to be here.
Okay, so this is the first time. So first of all, you guys are the cover of our August issue. So if you're listening to this, check out the August issue is out by the time you're listening to this. Second of all, this is our first time having a couple, a husband and wife, building a business together. And I want to dig all into this. So take me back, please, to the inception of Milkwise, why you started it, how you got into it, and a little bit about why you also wanted to do it together, because that's different.
Your story.
Well, Ian and I had our son, Dragon, that's his real name, in 2021.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we have a daughter as well who's older from Ian's first marriage, so we were already a family unit. COVID hit, we had our baby, Dragon, and his birth was much different than I anticipated it was going to be. I had prepared myself to have this beautiful home birth and, had been working for months with a midwife. I ended up having a 56-hour labor and was transferred to the hospital at hour 48 about, and I gave birth naturally to him, but he was born with an infection in his lungs and was immediately taken from me, rushed to another side of the hospital. And so he about over a week in the NICU. I'm at home pumping around the clock, trying to get my milk supply up. I'm receiving a lot of contradictory information from lactation consultants in the hospital about whether I'd be able to breastfeed or not. And at the time, breastfeeding for me was really important to me. I had read so much research about it, about the bond with the baby and mother, and for the baby's gut health. I personally have struggled with gut health my whole life. And so I wanted to give my baby the best advantage possible, and knowing that he was going to be on antibiotics for the first week of life as well. And it was a struggle. Like, the NICU was a really hard experience. I had to advocate a lot for even just skin to skin for a few minutes a day while he was in the NICU, knowing that I knew from all the research that skin to skin with mom actually helps babies in the NICU heal. And so I can feel my nervous system thinking about this.
Giving me all the goosebumps over here.
I'll try to keep it really concise. I could, elaborate a lot more, but basically before I had my baby, I was instructed by my midwife to take a Lactation 101 class. And I'm so glad I did, because I met this woman, Chelsea, who's a local LC, that's a lactation consultant. When I got home from the hospital, I was so confused. They had been giving him 90 milliliters of milk every feed, which is a lot for a baby. Yeah. I wasn't producing that much, and I couldn't get him to latch properly, and I was exhausted, and I was just so ready to quit. But even though I didn't want to, and luckily I was able to call her, she drove from downtown LA to our house an hour and a half away and was there that day and saw me for about an hour and a half and literally changed the whole trajectory of my breastfeeding journey. She became my mentor and guide and helped me realize that I was making enough milk, my baby was okay. She taught me to latch properly and just gave me all this hands-on support that I didn't get in the hospital. And after that experience, I actually started getting a lot of text messages from friends who were also having babies, who were all having breastfeeding issues, cracked nipples, bleeding, pain, weaning issues, and they're all texting me, and I'm forwarding them to Chelsea, my lactation hero. And I'm like, how did I, no one knew how to access this kind of valuable help, and if they did, it was I have to go through my insurance, and luckily we were able to pay out of pocket up front and then figure out the insurance piece later and how we could potentially get reimbursed if we could. But a lot of moms don't have that, those resources, or don't have the ability to have even a partner help them figure all the financial pieces out when they're, postpartum. And so I was like, man, this is a huge problem. We need an app where I could just open up my phone, be able to click one button, be able to be connected to a lactation consultant and have them help me right away instead of waiting a week to get an appointment or doing all this research to find the right one or having to figure out what my insurance actually pays for that, because I think it's something like 60% of breastfeeding moms end up quitting within the first few weeks.
And it's a lot.
It's a lot. And in knowing how much I fully, and I'll stop here, we can talk a little bit more, but for me, that shift from being worried about breastfeeding to having somebody to coach me through it and help me reach my breastfeeding goals, I'm pretty sure saved me from some postpartum depression that was percolating, postpartum anxiety, all of those things. And so Milkwise was born from there. Long story short, I talked to Ian, I was like, this needs to be something. And
I didn't know anything about the women's health space. I'm a tech builder for the last 20 years, mostly sustainability, electric vehicles, and as a middle-aged white guy, I don't get a lot of exposure to women's health issues because it just hasn't been my journey. And so as Alex was going through this process, and then I saw how impacted all of her friends were going through the same thing, as a builder, I'm like, well, there's got to be a solution for this. And so we started poking around. We found one company in the space that was doing it at scale called TLN. And so I started digging in a little bit to exactly how they do it. And I spent about a month, and I was like, this is not complicated. Like, I could do this tech stack in 2 weeks. Like, I understand how they're doing the whole thing. And so I said to Alex, I'm like, why don't we just tilt something up so that, we can support all the moms and all your friends who are going through this most critical part of the journey and take out the anxiety and the stress and the fear and the uncertainty, and not just around lactation, but let's put together a comprehensive set of perinatal services so that the entire journey of the mom is supported from one location with a longitudinal team and all the insurance and billing and everything managed. And so, I put together a business plan for it, and then Alex was supposed to run it. But after we had the baby and started on that journey, it was just too much. So we actually shelved it for about a year until things got stabilized. And then we had a little more breathing room. We set out on the journey to tilt it up and start building it.
Yeah. This is so amazing. I have so many questions. I'm not sure where I want to start. The first is, Ian, you saw Alex going through the struggles of trying to breastfeed. Did you take the same breastfeeding course as her or lactation course? Or were you sitting there like, I don't know how to help? Because with my first, I also struggled with breastfeeding and could not get him to latch, and we used nipple shields for like the first week, and it was brutal the first week and a half until we could see a lactation consultant through the hospital, through the insurance. And then she finally helped me figure out and getting him to latch. But for the first week and a half, like, I was fucking losing my mind. Like, literally in his room, like on the chair, debilitatingly crying because I thought I was failing. And my husband had no idea how to help. So I'm so curious, Ian, what you experienced from the husband's perspective, from the dad's perspective. So if you could share some insight into that.
I mean, I was probably not the greatest, most supportive partner in the world when we were going through this part of the journey, because I was listening very attentively and taking it all in and nodding at the right pauses and moments. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, come on, it's just boobs and a baby. Like, how complicated can this possibly be? Like, I think this is postpartum emotions. You're being a little bit dramatic. Like, just stick him on there, roll over, be done with it. But then as I sort of got past my insensitive machismo around the whole thing and like really started listening to her friends too, and I was like, oh wow, this is like a complicated thing that's not straightforward. And then as we sort of went through our friends group and then also looked just sort of back historically around the industrialization in the US and women joining the workforce and the rise of formula companies and all these socioeconomic and cultural factors that have really eroded that maternal cohort that would typically surround a new mother and support her and guide her through the journey with all that wisdom. So much of that has been lost and abdicated to the Western allopathic medical community, who do a terrible job of taking care of women. And so that was really the moment where it's like, okay, like we can actually make a difference in this, really help people. That's when it went from being something theoretical to something that was compelling, where we felt like we really needed to go do it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your honesty, because I think that's part of what media has shown us that breastfeeding should be. And so when we are in the throes of newborn postpartum and we aren't succeeding immediately at breastfeeding, we internalize it as our own failure, right? Like, this is my issue, I'm failing, I'm broken, something's not working right, it's my fault. And that slows us down from the next thought of, how do I find help to fix this, right? And so I love that you've made this accessible. I want to touch on, you said something interesting, that you wanted Milkwise to be more holistic, more services than just like lactation help. Talk to me about that.
Well, when Alex and I were going through this journey, I'm focused on building companies and doing all that sort of stuff. But in the background, I'm listening to her, like, trying to find a doula, trying to find a midwife, trying to find an LC, trying to find someone for pelvic floor heat rehab, postpartum depression, nutrition, sleep training, all these different discrete provider components that comprise that longitudinal package for perinatal care. And she was going to Facebook and Instagram and Reddit and her friends and this and that and the next thing. Oh, now I got to check the insurance company, and well, what's cash pay, and what's covered, and well, how many sessions, and do I have to go to the office, or will they come to me? Like, the whole thing was just a big mess. And we have a shared passion for sort of spirituality and meditation and consciousness, and so our framework on it was to really help the mom. You need to help the whole mom. You can't just help her boobs. You have to help the whole person as they're going through this journey, because the baby's nervous system imprints on the mother's nervous system. It's a reflection of that and attachment to it. And if the mom is constantly stressed and worried and and hectic and frantic, the baby picks that up and it translates and gets imprinted on their nervous system. And so we wanted to, and I'm a technologist and platform builder, so I'm like, this is a classic technology problem, right? Like, the wheels start turning, Alex is like freaking out because she's not making enough milk, and I'm like, no, you just do this, and this, I'll connect
That's
here.
exactly my husband too.
And blah, blah, blah.
You want to fix everything.
And so I'm like, I can fix this. So that's how that's why we decided. So we're using LC as the wedge to start care and get in network with the payers, and then we'll expand laterally into different providers as we go.
Oh, that's amazing. I fully agree. The 360 holistic support for moms is so impactful, because it all has such a ripple effect of support overall when you support every aspect of it. Okay, Alex, talk to me more about the meditation, the yoga that you do. How has that played into also starting up this business and motherhood and your ambition? 'Cause those are very unique symmetries.
Yeah, it's interesting, but both my parents are entrepreneurs, and I, as a young woman, I dealt with a lot of anxiety and stress and perfectionism, and I growing up, I was a very high performing individual with a lot of underlying stress and performance anxiety. And when I was about 19, I took a gap year from college, and I moved to India to go do volunteer work for a year, and it was there I had my first yoga and meditation experience. And my mom had actually tried to get me to do yoga for a while, but I actually had an anxiety attack in the class and left. And so I had to find yoga and meditation on my own. And I remember my first yoga class in India, it was this, little old man, and we're in the mountains, and he's, 100 years old doing these vinyasas on his fingertips, and he starts chanting at the end of the session, and I went into probably the deepest state of relaxation and calmness I'd ever felt my whole life. And I was like, oh, there's something here for me. And so fast forward another 5 years, I got my yoga teacher training, and yoga and meditation has been kind of this interwoven thing throughout my life. And you know, it's something that brings me home to myself and to my purpose and to my body, and dealing with, you know, injuries and anxiety. And when I met Ian, it was interesting because we met through work. I worked at Silicon Valley Bank at the time, working in tech and finance, and I kind of had this like secret life on the side as like a yogi meditation teacher. I had them very separated. And I met Ian, we sat down for lunch for the first time, and we were planning on talking about his new business in electric vehicles. And we ended up just talking about meditation and for the whole entire lunch, and just found this like deep connection that like, oh, this is what feels like home to me, and the underlying value of everything that we do is coming back home to ourselves and being connected to each other and helping other humans. And you know, the purpose of meditation is to calm ourselves, get into a state where we're living with integrity, with our body, mind, and soul, so that we can go out and be of service to other people. And so I think in our life, you know, we try to balance supporting each other in our business, supporting each other in our health. And one of the things we try to do is support each other, even with kids, with meditation. Like Ian will get up at 4 a.m. every day and meditates for an hour. And so like, you know, we have to make it work in our lives. And then I do a lot of walking meditation and physical somatic movement. And but that feeds into when I'm not meditating and when Ian's not meditating, the business suffers, our family suffers. When we're not starting our day with something that grounds us into like, what is our core purpose? Why are we doing this? And regulating our nervous system so that we can see things with clarity rather than coming from a place of emotion. That's kind of what drives. I don't know if you would agree with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so.
Wow. That's so amazing. Okay, so many questions. Oh, okay. I also love meditation. I found meditation a few years ago, maybe like 7 or 8 years ago now. And I don't get up at 4 a.m. And meditate for an hour. I can maybe get in 5 minutes every now and then. So it is a work in progress. But I feel the effects of when I do meditate. I feel it throughout the whole day. I feel it interacting with my toddlers. I'm way better able to regulate my own emotions, to help my toddlers regulate, because my kids are both in the toddler tantrum phase, and it is rough because they'll set each other off, and then they're both having an epic meltdown, and I'm like, and then I melt down too. So
I have to tell myself when my little one's having a meltdown, or even when my teenager's having a crisis, I have to tell myself, I'm not getting attacked by a lion right now. It's just And then when you calm and like, honestly, you know, Ian was a single dad for, 8 years before I came into the picture. And so he had a lot more practice at this, integrating meditation with parenting. And so I've taken a lot of cues from that. And then I have my own way in the feminine. I think with breastfeeding too, this is a little bit of a tangent, but I think a lot of the resistance to breastfeeding for some women is that it requires us to sit down and slow down and not do. Yeah. And that is very hard in a society where we are valued on our productivity, on our hustle, on doing as much as possible at once. And I feel like I would sit down whenever I was getting antsy, like, oh my gosh, I have to sit. Because people don't tell you that it's not just like, oh, I feed my baby a few times a day. It's like, you're feeding for an hour, and then you have a little bit of a break, and then another hour, and just you're breastfeeding. It's a 40-hour, people don't understand that's a full-time job. And to sit and just be present with that can be really uncomfortable, and meditation fully prepared me for that. Like I would put in guided meditations in my earbuds, and I would sit and be like, oh, this is my time. And the value of meditation for healing the body postpartum is so way more important than getting your six-pack back or getting back into the workforce. If you can find a little bit of time to just be. And I never, any moment that I have with my son where I'm sitting and breastfeeding with him in like a meditative present state, I never regret any single second of that. Do you know what I mean?
This is so inspiring. Like, this makes me want to have another baby and do it all over again.
Right? Don't tell Ian that.
Don't get me started.
My husband's the same way. He's like, stay away. Like, closer that.
I I know. He's like, 2, we're done.
Yeah.
And in my head, I've got the Sound of Music, Von Trapp children in my mind. Like, that's.
Yeah. And I'm scrolling through Instagram. I'm like, oh, look at all these baby pictures. Look, they're so cute. Look at,
So cute.
I love my belly. It was so amazing. Okay. Anyways, Ian, you wake up at 4 a.m. Like, what time do you go to sleep? How do you do this with kids?
I mean, it's like everything in life, you just got to plan around. I've been doing it. I started on this journey when I was in my mid 20s, I guess, with just a lot of curiosity around reality and consciousness, and had some success early in life with professional success and other things that. All the things that they tell you on the outside are supposed to make you happy: the job, the car, the girl, the toys, the trips, the credit card, and all the rest of it. And all those things lasted, that happiness and that exhilaration would last maybe a day or maybe 2 days, and then it would fade. And so I was like, well, wait a second. Like, I keep trying more and more things to achieve this enduring happy state. It keeps not working. Like, I think there's a pattern here. Maybe I'm looking in the wrong places. And so when I started doing the meditation and yoga work, the first time I started meditating, I was doing transcendental meditation, and I dropped in, and the world just exploded inside. And I was like, oh, I've been looking in the wrong spot. It's actually in here. It's not out there.
Wow.
And so that kind of got me hooked. And then when I was a single dad, I had primary custody of our daughter for almost 10 years. And so it was actually kind of nice because she would go to bed at 7. I'd read her a story and give her a bath and whatnot. And then I would read metaphysical, spiritual books till 8 or 9. I'd meditate for an hour or 2. And then I'd get up at 6 and I'd meditate for an hour before she woke up. And then I'd get her up, make her lunch, take her to school. And so for 10 years, I was afforded the opportunity to have a really committed and dedicated practice, which enabled me to make some reasonably good progress in those efforts. And so as time has passed and I've become more proficient, I have learned that when I carve out that time to go and do that meditation and drop in and then work on planning my day or whatever it is I'm focusing on, it just takes it smooths everything out in the journey. I'm not so reactive. Things just magically manifest the way you want them to. Everyone around me is happy. And so I go to bed at 9 or 10 sometimes, depending on what's going on. I get up at 3:30 to be ready to meditate at 4, and it's a little work, but
hey, someone's got to do it. Someone's got to be the early bird.
It's worth it.
I'm glad it's you.
Yeah, but sometimes he'll get up and go meditate, and then crawl back in bed for an hour with our son, who's 4. Sometimes to get an extra snuggle in, take a little power nap at 6 a.m. before taking off for work. So
that's so cute.
A little extra snuggle in. So
does your son wake up early?
Yeah, well, it's better now, but he was one of those kids that was like, he didn't sleep very well at all. He was breastfeeding around the clock for the first year, and then once he night weaned, still would wake up at 1 a.m. every night being like, Mom! And so one of us would go in and sleep with him for the rest of the evening. And just this year, around 4.5, he's been starting to sleep through the night. And so he'll go to bed at 7:30 and he'll sleep till about 6:30. There was a time where he was getting up 5:30. So, but he's getting there. He's slowly, but he's a very active kid. Just constantly wants to be moving and going, and has the energy of
We're big fans of co-sleeping. We think it's really positive for stabilizing the nervous system when they're in that developmental stage. It's the same thing with my daughter, and I've observed firsthand, how when you co-sleeping with kids versus parents who don't co-sleep with their kids, and how those kids, their disposition in the world and their confidence and their sense of self-security and whatnot is very different. And so we're big believers.
Yeah, if it works for you, it works for you. That's amazing. I love that. That's so important.
And I find for me, I don't sleep very well when I co-sleep with him, so it's been mostly...
I don't either.
That's why. And I'm like, I want him to sleep with him, but they sleep together brilliantly. But it's really hard for me sometimes to sleep hard with him next to me. And so, but the two of them will like knock out together. And so it really works for the two of them to co-sleep together. And the snuggles are amazing. But every family is different, and every family has like what works for them. And it's hard, especially if you're a single mom or something. And it can be, after the breastfeeding journey's over, like it can be really hard to get the sleep that you need to wake up and take care of your light sleeper and stuff, whatnot. So
definitely, yeah.
We found that
the snuggles are the best.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go back to Milkwise for a moment and then come back to you guys as a couple. So I love talking about big shit goals and doing really, really big things, like crazy biggest goal, biggest dream, wildest one. If you could wave a magic wand, what's your really biggest dream goal for Milkwise?
Well, I spend I'm the bricks and mortar and behind the scenes stuff, and Alex drives, and the rest of the ladies on the team drive product and customer experience and everything else. And so I spend a lot of my time listening and observing and learning, since this isn't my world. And I think the way we just finished an offsite, I think the best way to articulate it is we want to build a perinatal journey for moms that is so easy, so fun, so supportive, so loving, and so comprehensive that women want to get pregnant so they can go through it.
Yeah, see, this is going to make me want to have a third baby. And this is probably going to make Alex want to have a third baby too. You're just making it easier for her. It's like, here, honey, I've made it simpler.
And I think for me, like, I want, if I could envision my biggest dream and my biggest goal, it's that motherhood, postpartum and motherhood is such an integrated part of our whole society that everyone understands. Like through this platform becoming large and so supportive, that women's postpartum experience becomes this like beautifully sacred time where every mom has access to the information that they want to reach their goals. And like eventually, I mean, our hope is to actually shift society and like the socioeconomic like framework and resources that women have, including like federal paid maternity leave, so that moms can have the choice of, I want to breastfeed my baby for the first couple of years, if they want to do that. I have the choice of whether I need to go back to work or not. Like those choices are impacted by how much knowledge every person has in our society about the importance of that, especially the first 6 months to a year for a woman, and how if a woman is having a healthy postpartum experience, then her children will, and children are, it's interesting, we talk about like fundraising for businesses like this, and I have a friend who worked at Swell, which is a breastfeeding platform, and she was explaining to me how like she would go into these meetings and people were like, oh, well, breastfeeding is very niche, and like it's a niche market. And she's like, every baby born on this planet has to eat. It affects every single human in the world. And so it is not niche. And so people think that postpartum is niche. It's not niche. And like the more women are healthy, the more babies are going to grow up with healthy, secure attachments to their parents and their society. And I think one other piece of my soapbox I'll stand on is like, our country, if you go to other parts of the world, families are celebrated. Like we'll go to a restaurant in Costa Rica or somewhere on vacation, and somebody will literally take our baby and like go bring them into the kitchen and like play with them. People love children, and I think sometimes we want to reframe like having kids is hard, which there are hard parts to it, but like to excitement, like yes, can be a hard part of the journey, but you're supported, you're loved, and you have resources and information and a whole village behind you. I think one other piece that I will say here with breastfeeding is, breastfeeding is not something that's necessarily intuitive. It's a very learned skill that was traditionally passed down from grandmothers, midwives, doulas. Like the whole village would be around a woman when she was giving birth, and most of the time all of those women, including her other children, like this wasn't the first birth that she'd been at. This would have been like the 15th or 16th
Right.
birth that she'd been at. She would have been so comfortable around women having babies and breastfeeding that she already knew all of this. And, you know, for most women today, your birth is the first birth you've ever been to. And
Yeah.
so people, like, we hide it away. We tuck it away as this like medical event, and it's not a medical event. It's one of the most beautiful parts of a journey of every single human being. And so my hope is that women who are young start understanding birth and breastfeeding and get exposed to this as much as possible. More women breastfeeding out in public, so that a 10-year-old girl will just be able to see that and normalize that in her mind, you know? Oh,
Yeah.
breastfeeding, like that's something that's normal. It's not something weird or, you know? And so trying to bring back all that ancient wisdom that's been lost through, you know, like Ian said, the industrialization of pregnancy and postpartum, so that women feel comfortable and they know who to go to and they know who to ask, and it's not this big mystery. That's kind of like my vision. So
I love all of that so much. So meaningful, so impactful, and truly changes lives, literally, and generations. Are you trying to stay in just the US, or is it global?
It's just the US for the next couple of years, probably. The way I think it will go is, as these AI and technology tools continue to evolve and become more competent, and as our corpus of experience and service provision also grows, that I think you'll have a service offering that bifurcates to some degree. You'll have the in-person version for people who want that experience, can afford it, have insurance, what have you, and then you'll have the digital avatar version that will be the best of American Western science around perinatal care, but it'll literally be an avatar that you talk to from a third world country, and you pay, you know, $1 a month or whatever the number is for the market, where you get the best of our learning and capabilities and knowledge and understanding. It's not delivered by an actual physical person, but it is delivered by a virtual representation of a person with the same understanding and knowledge, so that you can make that wisdom and that understanding and that care accessible on a global basis.
Wow, what an interesting business model. I love that. Wow. Okay. I was gonna ask something about another third baby, but I'll just move on.
keep plugging away. Keep plugging away. You're
I know. I'm sorry. I'm picking at you on it because my husband's not here for me to pick at him on it. He left. He's out of the house. I forgot what I was asking. Maybe I'll remember it. Okay. So talk to me about working together. I'm going to ask some maybe like rapid fire questions. So you, but what's your favorite part of working together, growing a business together?
I mean, my favorite part is understanding Alex's dream and the dream of all the team and bringing it to life.
Yeah, I mean, I like being connected to you, and through not just our home life, but through like our entire mission as a family. So it's our daughter, she's 18. She actually interned for Milkwise this summer too, and you know, she's a part of the mission as well. And like, you know, it's a family business, and we love doing something. We're trying to teach our kids that, you know, business and our values and our family aren't necessarily separate. We're all together on the same mission. And so it's not really like a separation, like, oh, dad's going to work and then he comes home and we don't know anything about his life, or mom's, you know what I mean? It's all connected. And the other cool part is we actually have some employees who are also family members with each other, so which is really sweet. And like we recently had an offsite here, and our head of marketing brought her new baby with her, and so, you know, she's pumping during meetings, and you know, it's like we try to integrate everyone's family into the business as well. I think it's part of the ethos of Milkwise too, to make it a family friendly company, you know, not just, you know, like bring their kid to work, you know. Like we want to meet everybody and support everybody in their unique needs. So
I love that. And does your daughter know, like, when did you start really teaching her about what you're building and why? Because I know the 4-year-old, he's probably not as aware.
Yeah, he doesn't get it. my view is, or our shared view is that in the world that's coming, you need to be an entrepreneur, because we're relying, particularly with AI and all these other tools, as they become more powerful, relying on someone else to give you a paycheck for the rest of your life is probably not a good long-term business model. And so at an early age, I was teaching my daughter how to come up with ideas and go and action them, right? And like last year, so we used to have a meditation group at our house every Sunday from the time she was born, and she would sit in on that and be part of it. And so she developed, just through absorption, a reasonable understanding of sort of spiritual fundamentals and tenets. And she wrote a book 2 years ago about conscious relationships for teenagers. She had come up with some ideas independently around dating, and so we convinced her to write a book about it and supported her through the process and invested in her in that process. And we launched it last year, and it was like on the top of 12 categories in Amazon when it launched.
Wow, what a badass superstar you
It's
raised.
called Is This Love by Sky Gardner. Yeah, so if you want to find it on Amazon.
Yes.
So we've been trying to instill in them that you can identify an opportunity, create a plan, raise money, execute on that plan, take it to market, and actually go make money and be successful and help the world at the same time. And so we took her through that entire arc of having an idea for a book, writing it, publishing it, marketing it, setting up a bank account, and watching dollars go from Amazon into her bank account from her own efforts, with nobody else doing anything except her. And for a 16-year-old girl, that's a powerful experience.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so with Milkwise, the idea is to say, Mom had this challenging journey through pregnancy and birth and early childhood rearing with our son. That was a big problem, and lots of other women have that problem. We can do something about that, and here's how. And so she has watched and been an observer as we've gone through that entire journey, to the point now where she's going to NYU Shanghai in the fall, and so she's working for us for the summer in the marketing department, and the skills she's learning at Milkwise around marketing are helping moms, but will also help her market her book on the back end of that.
That's amazing. Wow.
So
That's
she's
so cool.
she's very aware. And Dragon is so funny because he knows that Milkwise is about like mommies helping their babies have milk from their boobies. It's like because he's 4.5. He's been weaned for 2 years now, but he's still obsessed with boobs.
Like
so he's
like, it's a boy thing. My son is too.
Oh my God. I'm like, stop it. We're done. And
goes away.
But I have to like shame him for it. But I'm like, okay, mom's touched out. We're good. But he goes, Mommy, when I die and I come back in my next life, can I be your baby and breastfeed you again? I'm like, oh my God. I guess he had a positive experience, so that's good.
Good thing. Good feedback right there, right?
It's good feedback.
Good target fit right there.
Good customer feedback. And our daughter, she definitely wants to be a mom one day. Like she's very excited, and she watched me through my journey, and there were parts of it that were scary for her, that were like, oh my God, like, is this going to happen to me, and all this stuff. And it's, with birth, I think sometimes we shield people from some of the realities of birth and postpartum because people don't want to be scared. They don't want to have that projected onto them or anything. But it's so important because I find that birth and postpartum, part of the beauty of some of the challenges are, as a woman, you go from being this maiden and thinking you have to do it all on your own and having challenges, but going through the birth portal is a huge initiation, and going in with the eyes wide open and finding your own inner strength and seeing how I told my daughter, I was like, going through that process, I'm not afraid of anything anymore. Do you know, that was the gift.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
You're not you. It's the hair that's put on your chest. It's okay, I can do this. And also, in such a hyper-independent society where we're taught to have to do everything on our own, one of the things postpartum taught me was that I do need to ask for help. Like I can't do it all on my own. Women are not supposed to be raising babies by ourselves. We're not supposed to be going through postpartum by ourselves. We're supposed to have resources and people there caring for us and helping with our laundry, and that developing that village starts way before you have a baby, you know, and having women understand that, like, oh, if I want to have a family, how do I tend my garden of community now? What are the things I'm doing in my life now to build a community of in-person interactions in my neighborhood with chosen family or family where I can feel comfortable asking for help and support. It doesn't make me weak. It's just a part of life. And where can I go now? Like some of the things I wish I'd done before I had a baby was like, I wish I didn't show up for the other moms in my life as much as I could have. I don't think I didn't know how hard of a struggle they were having. You know, everybody puts on this brave face, and I wish I had, you know, taken the extra time to like just enforce myself on them, be more helpful, be around babies more, be around that more. And so the more we can educate all people in society about the motherhood journey and how to show up for the mothers in our lives and the babies in a way that is supportive is so vital.
Yeah, I honestly wholeheartedly agree. We do such a disservice to the next women and young girls by not talking about the full realities of birth and motherhood, all the ups, all the downs, all the challenges. And then when they go through those challenges and hard times, they feel completely alone, like no one else is going through this, that there must be something wrong with them, and it just spirals. And that's a problem in the media and society, and the shame that's put on us in that push through the media. That's a big part of what we do here, is to shift that narrative, because that narrative helps. Having the truth, the reality, helps everybody and future generations. So I love what you're talking about. And yeah, I feel like giving birth makes you like this warrior goddess. Is that why you named your son Dragon? You're like, I'm this mama dragon now. This is my baby dragon.
It's the mother of dragons. Well, it's interesting because, you know, I think with breastfeeding, one of the challenges that I find too is that, you know, my mom didn't breastfeed my brother or I, and she, you know, I was born in the 80s, and she was like a working mom, and they gave her the pill as soon as she was, oh, this will dry up your breast milk, but formula's easier, and like just do it. And there wasn't even a thought in her mind to breastfeed. She also had heard these stories that breastfeeding makes your boobs really unattractive, and or like, you know, which is, you know, the stories that we tell ourselves, like that's more, you know, and everybody has their own choice. But she's like, breastfeeding didn't feel like an option. It just was like, oh, this is the new technology that we're all using now, and so I'm just going to formula feed. And in no part of my life did I ever feel like I needed to be like, oh, mom, you did that wrong, you should have breastfed me. It was just like, and no point, I think there was a moment where she felt like, oh, a little bit, like maybe I should have breastfed you kids, and I didn't know back then. Right. And I was like, Mom, like, I don't care. Like, look at me, I'm great. But like, I knew for me that it was going to be important for me in my journey with Dragon to breastfeed. And she did something amazing, which a lot of moms, I feel like, especially in that generation, there's a lot of parenting of like, well, you kids turned out fine and whatever I did was perfect. And like, I'm not going to take any sort of hint that maybe I could have made a different choice. And she actually came with me to my breastfeeding 101 class and was like, I didn't breastfeed. I don't know anything about it, but I want to support you on your journey and do the best I can as a mom to support you and Dragon. And she was like full on board supporting me on my breastfeeding journey with no judgment, no, like there was never any, oh, well, you could just bottle feed when it gets hard. And I felt like that's a really unique experience. A lot of moms don't have that support from their mothers who didn't breastfeed. There's a lot of like, I don't know if there's guilt or shame around maybe feeling like they wanted to or not, or maybe they just don't understand why somebody would want to. And so there was this like delicate balance of really appreciating that in my mother, and we also want to make it accessible, Milkwise accessible to partners, to like have information for parents of or grandparents to support women, because there's a lot of people who just they didn't breastfeed or didn't know anything about it, and they want to support the person in their life that did. And we also don't want to shame anybody for not breastfeeding, because that's part of everybody's journey. You know, like you have to make the choice that's right for you. Some women can't. Some babies don't. Some, you know, there's so many different layers of this. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
That's part of the Milkwise ethos too, is just, you know, helping women meet their goals no matter what they are and what their choice is.
Yeah, I agree. So then, Ian, do you feel better prepared to support Alex when she has her third baby?
Yes.
Hopefully we're still married by the time after this interview. I think there is also a hole in the market for the dads. And so one of the things that we're exploring right now on the platform is support for fathers. And we're talking to a bunch of therapists and psychologists around creating a curriculum to support dads as they're going through this, because nobody came to me and was like, okay, son, here's how it works. That conversation didn't happen. But that's, you know, because when the mom is going through that part of the journey, you know, there's not much for dad to do besides, you know, maybe change a diaper, you know, help change diapers and, you know, cook dinner or whatever. But the dad needs to become educated on like what's going on and why, and actually what are you supposed to do when this happens? How do you support your wife or your partner and everything else? And so we're gonna build some resources around that to help the dads as well.
That's so amazing. I trained my husband to be my doula, and trained him how to do like the hip squeezes and soft touch, and we practiced. Like I literally sat down on my yoga ball and was like, all right, we're going to set a timer and you're going to practice doing like soft touch, because I also wanted to do a natural birth. And I was like, I'm going to teach him how to do the hypno breathing in case I lose myself during labor, and have him know how to do it. And then with my daughter, with my second, he actually like caught her, because I did a water birth, and so he got to catch her, and like he practiced and trained, and like we did it, and it was amazing. But everyone was like, you trained your husband, like you taught your husband to do what? Like it was the most bizarre sounding thing to people. And I also had to teach him about postpartum depression, because my mom had postpartum depression. And so I was very, very anxious about getting it. And so I told him, I was like, look, here's all the signs and symptoms. If I can't see it for myself, I need you to look out for these symptoms. And that's absolutely something that most men have no information about anywhere. And that's an easy thing to help and support with, is like signs and symptoms to look out for with your wife, aside from, you know, just being exhausted and sleep deprived. But like that, being a doula, I mean, whatever version of that looks like. So so Ian, do you want to be Alex's doula for the next baby? You want to catch the baby?
That's strong hands for the the hip squeeze.
We'll see how that goes. We're going to go to Russia and do it in the ocean with the dolphins.
I know, that's right.
Hey, you can meditate your way with the dolphins. I heard they're very intelligent creatures. You can do it.
I recently have a friend who just, her first baby, she had a midwife, and then her second baby, they free birthed her and her husband. They just did it at home, and he caught her, and it was this magical experience. And it's interesting to see. It's beautiful to see women starting to find that intuitive, and also like training themselves on understanding birth at a really deep level, and choosing their births with more freedom and liberation, and finding the birth plan that works for them. There's so many options now, and so I find that so beautiful that you included your husband, and that was a magical experience and a water birth. I love that. So
awesome. It was also like, you got us into this, you started this, so you're gonna end it with me. I gave him no choice in the matter. He had no say.
Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
Was your older child present at the birth, or did you have somebody?
I had my mom in town, because my kids are 15 months apart, so they're very close. So when, so I got pregnant 6 months postpartum.
Oh my gosh.
And so he was 15 months old, and I had my mom feeding him dinner, and I gave birth in my bathtub at like 6:30 in the evening while he was eating dinner, and was just like, what the fuck is that noise in there?
Mom, hold it down.
Yeah,
a
seriously.
lion dying in the next room. Like, what's
Yeah,
happening?
and I was like
Oh, yeah.
guttural and loud, and it was
Yeah.
amazing. But I'm sure he was just like, "What is
What's
that?"
happening? Oh, that's awesome. That's so
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So you could be too. Yeah, that could be you.
doing that too.
I'll
Yeah,
add it to
you
my
could do it.
honeydew list.
Yeah, yeah. Again, so you just no choice in the say. You just
Been pregnant?
you started
Check.
it, you end it.
Doula training? Check. Water
Exactly.
birth? Check.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yes. All right. I want to wrap this up with how do you best support each other in life and running a business together? What's like the top ways you support each other?
What are the things that I do that support you?
Well, we've got a very clear separation of responsibilities. So we each have the things that we own, and those are aligned. So there's the family side, there's the business side, and then there's the family plus business side. And so we've each got our own swim lane. And then when there are things that drag us out of that swim lane, or we have things that come up or we need help, then we have a pretty good communication method for, okay, like I got to be here on this day, I need you to do this, or oh, I've got to go do this, I need you to cover this, and so we try to not get in each other's way, and also when there are things that come up, be conscious about communicating that and supporting each other so that nothing falls through the cracks. And because we both really care about the mission and the purpose of it, and share a similar vision, then that tends to keep the ship running pretty smoothly in the water, for me anyway.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like we both intrinsically trust each other and to make good decisions. I think that that's a big part of our relationship, and we both see the gifts that each other has and how dedicated we are and like loyal as a family to our like core values, and even the kids too. And I think as a mom, having at the beginning, having this opportunity to run Milkwise and me stepping away to be a little bit more at home with the kids, but also being involved and going back and forth. I think, for me, I had nothing to prove being the CEO of a company. Do you know what I mean? There wasn't something that I had to prove to myself or anything. I had been successful in business before, but it didn't feel like I needed to be the she boss to prove something to myself. I knew that I could do it, and I also my kids know that I can do it. And the way that we work really well right now, and this could again we're always flexible to change in our future, is that at this stage in the business, Ian's skill set lends himself to being an excellent CEO for this business. He's incredible at captaining the helm, and I'm doing, I think I'm doing a pretty wonderful job with marketing and also with the family life. And I think for me, and I brought this up in some of these questions you sent me, there was a lot of resistance at the beginning when I left Silicon Valley Bank to be more at home with the kids, and one of the pieces I think, and this I'm saying this because some other women might relate to this, is will I be as valued by my husband and people around me if I'm not the CEO, if I'm just a mom for a while? And one of the gifts in our relationship is that Ian had been a single dad, the primary caregiver for 10 years. And so he was running the family, braiding hair, doing school lunches, making all the doctor's appointments, single-handedly, emotionally raising this beautiful young girl, and intrinsically knows how hard of a job that is, and how much hard work and time and devotion and emotional labor, and also how important it is that anything that I do at home is so valued. And it makes me emotional to think about it, but it's part of, it's a circle, our business and family, it's all circle, and we all are doing our different roles on the ship. We're on one ship together. And one spiritual teacher of mine used to say, you can't have two hands on the steering wheel or four hands on the steering wheel at the same time. At one point, Ian's driving the actual ship, and I'm first mate, and sometimes I'm captaining this part of the ship, and he's, so we have this nice balance, but in every part of our life is held at the same value.
Yeah.
And I also know that if something shifts, Ian's able to hold down the fort in my job, and I'm able to hold down the fort in his job. Like, we're able to have that, fluidity if necessary. So I find that to be supportive for me. We're just, I don't know if that makes sense.
It's not always smooth sailing.
It's not always. Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Hey, I get it. I run my business with my husband as well. We have our up and down moments too. Yeah.
And also we have investor we're a venture-backed company, which comes with its own set of expectations and obligations and considerations, right? It's not just, sort of us tilting up a side hustle. This is a real business that's going to scale that will impact millions of lives, and we have people that we have to answer to. And a big part of my job is navigating the feminine aspect of sort of the organic and creative portion of that, and trying to marry that to the masculine aspect of, you got to deliver results every month, and you got to deliver growth, and you're executing against this expectation for an exit at a certain value in a certain amount of time, and those investor expectations are as valid as the mom's expectations are, because they too answer to someone and have things that they care about and families to feed and partners to work with. And so it's that sort of it's like conducting an orchestra, right? Sometimes the brass needs to be a little louder, sometimes the winds need to be a little lower, sometimes you hit the drum the right way. And so but because Alex was a banker for tech companies, she understands what that world and those obligations are like. And because I was a single dad, I understand what those family obligations are like. And that compassion and empathy between us creates an emotional, energetic buffer that we can lean into when things get a little bit bumpy.
Yeah. You guys make a powerhouse team. I am so excited to see how big you make Milkwise and everything else you do. I'm rooting for you guys. And if you're listening to this episode, you can read their full interview in our August issue of Motherhood Magazine. It's out if you're listening to this. And you can learn more about Milkwise at milkwise.care. Is that right? It's .care?
That's right.
Great.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Alex and Ian, for joining. It's been an absolute amazing pleasure talking with you.